You know what I'm saying? So, of course, I'm not going to.
She speaks disrespectfully.
She's very disrespectful to my father. Yes, you are. You call him a punk. Y'all don't care if he takes care of you or not. He's still your father.
And just last week, we just had sex last week.
No, that's not true.
Yes.
A month ago, I went to her house. I got drunk. I made a mistake. I went over there. And yeah, we ended up having sex.
No.
I mean, I told her what she wanted to hear just to get what I wanted, but I do not want to.
When I call you and say, hey, do you want to see your grandkids? You're always too busy.
don't never
or hey,
ask
come
me
get
to
your
call my
kids.
mom.
You don't show up or you don't answer
are
your
you
phone.
all there to see the kids?
Never.
Anytime.
Never.
She never gave it.
That is a lie.
Ms. Mitchell wanted nothing other than to prove Mr. Jordan was her father. She claimed she recalled meeting him when she was just 7 years old, and he took her in as his child. Ever since then, he's denied her and not treated her like a daughter. Mr. Jordan wasn't denying the fact that they hadn't been very close, but he knew he wasn't her father.
Ms. Mitchell, you say you met the defendant, Mr. Jordan, in a courthouse when you were 7 years old.
Yes.
And he was taken to court for child support.
Yes.
You claimed he denied paternity testing at that time and claimed you as his daughter and began paying child support.
Yeah.
For Ms. Mitchell, the results of the court ruling were beyond important to her. She was heartbroken because she lost her mother a while back to a tragic disease, and she was desperate to know if she still had any family left in her life.
If he is my biological father, because I lost my mother a year ago from breast cancer. I just want to fill that void. I don't have no one else. It's just me, and I just want to make sure that he is my father, and I just want closure.
I understand. I lost my mother as well to breast cancer, and I couldn't imagine, ma'am.
He wasn't hiding it, trust me. Even with the fact that Ms. Mitchell was hurting about the whole situation, he just didn't care and wasn't fazed by it. He stood by his claim, stating that he was sure he wasn't her father, and went on to tell the judge why.
I mean, I understand her feelings, but when she was younger, you know, and I found out about her, hey, all I could do was step up to the plate straight up. And the thing is that saw this young lady in the courthouse. I sat down and spoke with her, asked her about her school, how she was doing, and I asked her where's her father. She said she didn't have a father.
Mr. Jordan claimed he never wanted to be her father, but Ms. Mitchell. Mitchell's mother wanted him to adopt her as his child. He even went on to say that he changed his living conditions for Ms. Mitchell so she would feel welcome in his home. But there was more juice to the story, trust me.
Wanted me to adopt her, so I changed my living conditions, bought bedroom furniture, got her set up to go to school and everything. I was gonna adopt her, but her mom reneged on it when it was time to go to court, and I never heard from her again, okay? And that was like, what, 4 years after I found out she even existed. And I tried to see her at least twice a month.
He was trying to sell himself to the judge as the good father who did what was right for the child. But guess what? Ms. Mitchell jumped in to cut him short and said all that was not true. She claimed that all the while she knew him, he never for once tried to establish a relationship or act like her father in any way.
He never even tried to call me.
What was your understanding, Ms. Mitchell?
My understanding was he was my father, and we were supposed to try to build a relationship, but he never came around. Every time I try to call him, he always blow me off. Every time. It was like every once or twice a year I see him, every 2-3 years.
From her childhood memory, she recalled the first time she ever met Mr. Jordan in the courtroom. Back then, the judge asked her if she knew who her father was, but she had no idea. That's when Mr. Jordan came in like a hero and said he was going to be her father. But trust me, he was no father to Ms. Mitchell at all.
Well, when I was 7 years old, I remember sitting on a bench, and the judge asked me, do you know who your father is? I said, no. That's when he came up and said what he said about, well, I'll be her father. And that's when I was like, okay, well, you're my dad. So I'm thinking he about to start coming over, I'm about to be with him so we can start spending time with each other.
Mr. Jordan claimed he opened his home and heart to Ms. Mitchell and even went as far as paying her child support through the years. Well, it was time to hit the nail on the head, and the judge asked him why he had doubts that he wasn't her father, having done all he claimed he did for her.
Find out about her until she was 8 years old, okay? I never had a relationship with her mom, period, ever, other than, like I say, it was that one-time affair with her mom.
So you basically had a one-night stand?
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, and then when I graduated cosmetology school, I was doing well.
Which she can't do here.
Yeah.
Mr. Jordan wasn't alone in the courtroom. He had a woman who he claimed was his real daughter. You could tell she didn't like Ms. Mitchell one bit. She claimed she also never believed that Ms. Mitchell was related to her father in any way because her father was always there for her.
I asked, he is the parent. I am not the parent. So when I call my daddy, yes, he does whatever I ask him to do.
I think he's scared not to, Ms. Wagner. But anyway, I want to understand from you, did you know growing up that you potentially had a sister? How did you regard Ms. Mitchell growing up?
I'm the first one.
Trust me, it was one hell of a brawl between these two women. In no time, Mr. Jordan's real daughter and Ms. Mitchell were yelling at the top of their voices. If it wasn't a courtroom, I'm sure things would have gotten physical.
They don't call my father and give him the respect. When I moved here and I was going through some
I
stuff,
try to call
and she
him.
does help me. We help each other. So I'm at her house. When Daddy come over there, she called him a punk. You know what I'm saying? So of course I'm not going.
Speaks disrespectfully
She's very
to you.
disrespectful to my father. Yes, you are. You call him a punk. You don't care if he take care of you or not.
1356 to 1426. Well, it's time we brought the cartoons down on this plot twist, wouldn't you say? It was time to find out the truth and know if the craziness was all worth it. The moment of truth is here, people. Brace yourselves for the results.
Mr. Jordan, you are her father. What do you feel, Miss Mitchell?
I guess I just want him to treat me better as a daughter.
I would like to leave this court with one frame of thought, okay?
Oh, what is your frame of thought?
Anytime
This was a situation where one's mistakes would come to haunt them in the future. Ms. Barrett had no idea who the father of her yet-to-be-born child was. She had been intimate with two different men during the window of conception, making it possible that two men could be the possible fathers of her unborn child.
Ms. Barrett, you stand before the court 6 months pregnant, not knowing who fathered your baby. During the period of conception, you say you slept with 2 men multiple times, including the defendant, Mr. Mullinax. Furthermore, you're asking the court to award you $779 for items you've purchased to prepare for the baby's arrival.
For over 3 months, Miss E. Barrett was constantly sleeping with more than one man, Mr. Mullinax, whom she's claiming to be the father of her unborn child and her ex-boyfriend. The crazy thing about her situation was that she slept with them close to 60 times. Could you imagine that?
A 3-month period, I was sleeping with 2 different guys, my ex-boyfriend and Mr. Mullinax. Within like 3 months, I slept with them, both of them, about 50 to 60 times.
50 to 60?
Yes.
50 to 60 times each?
No, I was sleeping with Mr. Mullinax Thursday through Monday, and sleeping with my ex-boyfriend roughly Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Trust me, the situation in the courtroom was about to go from bad to worse. After dropping the truth bomb about how many times she was intimate with both men, the judge asked her how she met Mr. Mullinax, and that's when she started to say things that left people in the courtroom speechless.
It's my ex-boyfriend's family member.
And this is the ex-boyfriend you were sleeping with?
Yes.
Okay, keep going.
He was still with his wife at the time. Whenever we were going out, we were doing double dates.
That's a lie.
And he was coming up to me on the double dates at bars and the tanning salon and different places that we were together.
Well, Mr. Mullinax sure remembered the story in a totally different way. Mr. Mullinax was married, but he claimed he and his wife were separated before he had a sexual relationship with Ms. Barrett. He went on to say that from the very moment he met her, he could tell that all she wanted was sex.
And I walked in and he introduced me to her, and I could tell from the first statement she made that she was a complete airhead. So he took me in the back bedroom.
Wait a minute. You're talking about Ms. Barrett?
Yes, ma'am.
How did this progress? And you're married?
Well, me and my wife separated, and after we separated, that's when I began my relationship with her.
Oh, there was so much drama and confession going on in the courtroom that even Judge Lauren remained speechless. Ms. Barrett acknowledged the fact that within the first 20 minutes of seeing Mr. Mullinax, they kicked it in bed. But she also mentioned that she thought Mr. Mullinax was a sincere person, but she misjudged him.
Barrett, did you sleep with the man within 20 minutes?
Yes, I did. But the way that he, I just took Mr. Mullinax as being a very truthful and honest person, and that he wouldn't, lie to me and deceive me and do me wrong, which he has now.
And when
because
you first
of
found out
this
you were
guy
pregnant,
texting me,
who did you say was the father?
Mr. Mullinax.
Here's where things get really tricky. When Ms. Barrett found out she was pregnant, she immediately claimed Mr. Mullinax was the child. Why? Her ex-boyfriend at the time was in prison, and she felt Mr. Mullinax was going to be a better father, and he was very available.
So was it really about you being convinced Mr. Mullinax was the father, or the fact that you just wanted him to be the father because he was available to help you take care of the baby?
Pretty much because he was available.
Listen,
Because
Your
I
Honor,
could-
she sent me a text and said she was pregnant. The next day she said she had a miscarriage, and then 2 days later she was pregnant
That is
again.
a lie.
As you would expect, when Mr. Mullinax caught wind of the information that she was pregnant, he already told himself that he couldn't be the father. He did admit that he knew there was a chance he could end up being the father, but so could several other men. At least, so he claimed.
I automatically assumed it wasn't mine because I knew I wasn't the only man she was sleeping with.
But you knew you could be a possibility,
A
right?
possibility, yes, ma'am. The ratio just goes to show, you know, that more than likely I'm not the father.
The ratio.
Yeah, I mean, compared
You
to
did
her sleeping, how many guys?
mathematics?
Yes, ma'am, kind of, because I mean, if you're sleeping with so many people, how can you tell who the baby's dad is just by, you know, just your ultimate?
Well, Ms. Barrett was starting to get very emotional in the courtroom. She claimed that just a week before the court case, Mr. Mullinax told her they were going to be together and they would get married. But that was not the case with Mr. Mullinax. He said he only told her what she wanted to hear so he could sleep with her.
And you're upset. Now, what are your emotions? You feel what?
Just a month ago, he was telling me that we were going to be together and that we were going to be a family. And just last week, we just had sex last week, and he was telling me that he wanted to be a
With
family.
Mr.
No, that's not
Mullinax?
true.
Yes.
A month ago, I went to her house. I got drunk. I made a mistake. I went over there. And yeah, we ended up having sex. But I mean,
No.
I told her what she wanted to hear.
Now, Mr. Mullinax's wife finally takes the stand to tell her side of the story. As soon as she stood up, it turned into an instant brawl between her and Ms. Barrett. These two couldn't hide how much they hated each other.
I'm ready to hear from your witness. Ma'am, please stand. State your name.
Hey, tough.
You're his girlfriend.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
now why is it you instantly started crying when she stood up?
Trouble. Like, she's just trouble. And he's sitting there saying he loves her and stuff. She's really just another notch in his belt. Like, she's nothing. She's nobody
Well, I mean,
special.
look, you don't know what goes on between our relationship.
Well, the suspense is finally over, and the hassle of who the dad of their child is about to be revealed. It's been a bumpy and funny ride with Mr. Mullinax and Ms. Barrett. All eyes are on the judge as she unleashes the truth. Get ready, paternity folks.
Mr. Mullinax, you are the father. Boy, if you don't get over there and at least see if she's okay and she's carrying your child over there crying, step over there. Now, she's been by herself. She done stood up here by herself. She has admitted her secrets, her shame, and basically told more than most women in this world would ever admit to.
Ms. Autry was one hell of a mother. She didn't want her son to get married to Ms. Martin because she didn't like her at all. She even said Ms. Martin didn't belong to her son. These two were here to brawl. Let's join them in their mother and baby mother saga.
Ms. Autry, you say the defendant is taking advantage of your son by pinning a baby on him, and you have physical proof that her 2-year-old daughter, Skyla, is not your grandchild. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Martin, you claim that the plaintiff is a monster-in-law and is denying your daughter only because she doesn't like you.
Oh, Ms. Autry didn't hide her disgust and hate for Ms. Martin. In no time, she was already calling her names and saying she wanted to steal her son. Even the judge had to call her to order because she was ready to fight.
I don't like her.
Why you want to
And look,
disrespect
you
the
don't
mother
have
of
to
your
like her,
your
but you can use
grandchild?
respectful
Why would
language.
you
Not
do
the
that?
mother of my grandchild.
Okay, Your
Where
Honor.
I'm from, they call me Queen DNA. So until I get a DNA test to prove that's my grandbaby, I am not accepting the responsibility for no baby. That's not none of mine.
But you was claiming her at first, though, Miss Autry.
All right, hold on.
Listen.
Let me come to you, Miss Martin, because I want to understand this.
Even her son didn't want her meddling in his business. He was getting married to Ms. Martin, but didn't inform his mother. How don't you tell your mom you're getting married? She definitely had to be a pain in your ass, if you ask me.
You find out she was getting married.
Someone called me and told me.
Your
that-
son didn't tell you?
No.
No, he didn't tell me. He didn't
Your
want
Honor.
me to know because he know I would have stopped.
Stopped it. Okay, and you got that call. You were in the bed, then you did what?
I got up, I got dressed, and I started walking up the street, and a friend seen me walking, and she said, "Where are you going?"
The mom pulls up to the wedding and wrecks the wedding. They eventually get married at a totally different location. In Ms. Autry's defense, she claimed that Ms. Martin was very disrespectful, and she didn't want that kind of person marrying her son.
It ain't so much as I never cared for Miss Morton. It's just that she has been very disrespectful from
She's
day one
the
when I
same
first.
way. I mean, what do you want me to do? You disrespect me all the time.
Well, you came into my home and disrespected me.
But you disrespected me first, Miss
Oh, no.
You kept
You did
disrespecting
it.
me. You kept
You came to
disrespecting
my
me.
house.
You never
told me you
showed
was
me
pregnant.
any
I told you you
respect.
was lying.
Ms. Autry's craziness didn't just end with trying to crash her son's wedding, trust me. She took it to the next level. When Ms. Martin was in the hospital to give birth, she went to the hospital to create an unforgettable scene. Trust me, you will be speechless when you hear what she did.
Miss Autry said, "This isn't my child." Somebody came in and said, "If you keep acting up, we're going to put you out." What happens, Miss Martin?
They put her out.
So you didn't stop acting up?
No,
What
Your
were-
Honor.
She crazy, Your Honor.
What was she doing?
She was acting crazy. She was out in the hospital saying, "That ain't none of my son's baby. That ain't none of my son's baby. You lying. You lying."
Now you could tell that Ms. Autry was born with a lot of trouble. She started to list her doubts and reasons why the baby couldn't be for her son. These reasons would make you ask if she skipped some of her medication, I promise.
She has toes like Miss Autry as well. They have little feet.
My toes don't. You want to see my toes?
Your
Johnny?
feet
My
are
toes
little,
don't-
Miss Autry. My daughter has feet like her family. Miss Autry has small feet and so does my baby.
So the baby doesn't have crossed toes. And what else is your doubt? It doesn't have eyebrows.
Don't have the eyebrows. My son had girly eyelashes.
The funny thing was that the son had no issues at all. He accepted the baby and wanted to have a beautiful family with Ms. Martin. But the mother, she was willing to turn the earth inside out to determine if the baby really belonged to her son.
Ever asked her, will you watch Skylar? Will you take care of Skylar?
Yes, Your Honor.
Y'all, if they go to the club,
don't.
they gotta pay to get in the club, they gotta pay for their drink, they gotta pay to park, so they're gonna
But
pay
that's
me to
not
babysit.
why. Okay, that's not why. That's not why. I heard that. That's on the weekend. I asked her during the week so that I could work.
Well, it's time we brought the cartoons down on Ms. Autry's crazy ass, wouldn't you say? It was time to find out the truth and know if the craziness was all worth it. The moment of truth is here, people. Brace yourselves for the result.
Pertaining to whether Mr. Martin or Mr. Gott is the father of 2-year-old Skylar Martin. The biological father is Mr. Martin.
I'll take that for 200, Your Honor.
You are the grandmother, Miss Autry.
Can I get an apology?
No, I do apologize to Skylar, but not to her.
Ms. Ammons and her son dragged Ms. R. Tomey to court because Ms. Ammons felt her son was being played. Ms. Tomey was her son's ex-girlfriend and was also an exotic dancer. Ms. Ammons believed she was trying to pin the baby on her son, all because she wanted her child to have a good father.
Ms. Ammons, you and your son have brought his ex-girlfriend, Ms. Tomey, to court today because you say she's an exotic dancer and at the same time she conceived her daughter, she was having sex with her customer.
Yeah.
Now you say she's trying to trap your son by pinning paternity of her 2-year-old daughter on him.
Well, she went straight to the point, trust me. Ms. Ammons was asked why she felt Ms. Ophoris. Tomey was trying to trap her son with her baby. Right away, she replied by telling the judge she never liked Ms. Tomey, and she knew she wasn't good for her son.
I never liked her when I first met her. It has nothing to do with her being white. I'm not a racist. I like all people. I just don't like her.
Okay, please elaborate.
Well, first of all, when she moved in our house, a week later she was pregnant. I thought that was kind of soon, pregnant after moving in our house just for 1 week.
She came to live with you?
She came to live with us because she was getting put out her mother's house.
Ms. Tomey told the judge that her ex-boyfriend's mom was never a fan of hers. She also believed she was a racist because the very first time she went to see him and Ms. Ammons' house, she referred to her as a white hooker. But of course, Ms. R. Ammons denied ever calling her that.
See, when I first came to their house, the first thing she said when he had took me upstairs to introduce me to her, she called me that white heifer. So I do believe she is racist.
Really?
Yes, and I was
Wait
paying...
a minute. Did that happen,
No,
Ms.
it
Ammons?
didn't
happen, Your
Yes,
Honor.
that did
That would
happen, ma'am.
never say
Yes,
something
and
like
I was
that.
paying her rent every week when I was staying there. Yes, I did dance. Yes, I did. But no, I was not pregnant within the
She
first
wasn't
week.
paying
That was our
me
first
money.
child.
Apparently, Ms. Tomey and Ms. Ammons' son already had a child together. The paternity of the child in question was their second child, and for some reason, Ms. Ammons just couldn't believe the baby belonged to her son. She even claimed the baby had no features to link her son as the father.
The baby looks nothing like my son, and the baby has special needs. And special needs does not, her name is Autumn, and I love her dearly.
Oh, she's
that doesn't run in
beautiful.
our family.
Well, we know.
Special needs is due, she has cerebral palsy. It's caused due to lack of oxygen at the birth. She flatlined when I was pregnant. I had emergency C-section.
I understand.
So it's a slight case of brain damage.
Ms. Ammons was definitely out to get Ms. Konomai, Tomey by all means. She claimed Ms. Paranedum, Tomey slept with her customers when she was in a relationship with her son. To even make things worse, her son remembered a situation where something like that happened.
We have doubts about what she's saying for a simple fact. I had one of my friends actually call me when she was actually saying that she was to go on a date with him when I was coming to pick her up.
him?
One of my friends that was at the club at that night. And he asked her to go on a date with him to the hotel. And she said, yes, I will go on a
That is
hotel.
not
I will
true.
go on a date
You
with
told
you
him those kids
unless
wasn't that big
well,
when
Ms. Tomey, do you remember this friend being at the club?
Yes.
In trying to defend herself, Ms. Tomey presented evidence of the window of conception. She was claiming that she told Mr. Ammons' son that there was a chance he might not be the father of the child, but her evidence came back to bite her in the ass.
Is outlined in blue, which is that it's the same week. It's 2 days apart.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
So that's capital D for doubt in the courts.
Yes,
Exactly. And
I
on top of
understand
that-
that.
and
I
on-
understand that fully. And I take
I was talking about the strip club setup, and then you jumped ahead and said you did sleep with this other man.
yes.
Ms. Tomey wasn't denying the fact that she made a mistake. She told the judge that Ms. Ammons' son wasn't always in denial. She claimed that they talked about it and wanted to find a solution to the problem, but once his mom got involved, that's when it all went south.
Oh, I understand that. I do understand that. And I admitted that to him. And he's badgering me now, but he wasn't acting like that. We were talking, we can have civil conversations, but when his mom's around,
Why do you keep
he
mentioning
acts
his mom?
so different.
No,
she
that's
speaks
not-
for
no.
him. He does not speak for himself. Everything he's
That is a
saying is what
lie.
she does.
You've had sex with these two men one day apart. You don't know who the father is. I want to know.
The moment of truth was finally here. It's time to see what the future holds for them. Would Ms. Ammons' son end up being the father, or has Ms. Tomey been lying all this while? Well, let's find out.
Mr. Ammons, you are her father.
I told you you were her
All
dad.
right, you're gonna step
Because
up.
it's not fair that I
this is
have to
what
do
I
it by
wanna do.
myself. We
Let's
both
get
children.
some order.
This is what I want to do. That's what I
This
wanna
is
do.
not the courtroom that handles custody situations. You will have to do that in your home state. But this is a courtroom about children and about their right to know their parents.